All right, welcome back to the best training channel on YouTube. Today is kind of that sled conditioning day. Going to be doing some 10s, some 20s, some 30s, starting off with 30 kilo sled for the 10s, 20 kilo sled for the 20s, and then a 10 kilo sled for the 30s. Probably going to do somewhere around 5 reps on all of these, but rather than just boring you by running back and forth in a straight line today, what I wanted to talk about was a couple rants that I've had on my mind for no particular reason other than the fact that I woke up and I just felt like I was in a mood today. Not a bad mood, not a good mood, just kind of felt like something was there, like I want to get into a flow state. And sometimes when I get into a flow state, I get into this choose violence type of mood. And I posted about this on Instagram a couple times. Where I like called out Joel Seedman one time when he was talking about like common mistakes in the front squat, and I wanted to call him out on his bullshit. I think I did one with like functional patterns when they were talking about back squats gonna give you scoliosis or something like that. But the first one I want to talk about is skinny ripped dudes. Skinny ripped dudes need to stop calling themselves jacked. Right, you're not jacked. You're halfway there. You got the ripped part down, but being 6 foot tall and 165 pounds with 5% body fat doesn't make you jacked. In order for someone to be jacked, there's got to be some mass to you, right? You can't just be skinny and ripped and look good on Instagram and say that you're jacked. I don't care how hard you train. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. Maybe it's just genetics. But whatever it is, you're halfway there. The other half is the mass part. So I've developed an equation to help these people have a more objective way to identify if they're jacked or not. And really what it is it's the only way that I think the BMI chart has any kind of a validity here. So if you take the BMI chart, you have your height, you have your weight, and you give it kind of like a number. Most BMI charts are going to say you're kind of overweight when you're at that 29 to 30 to 31 number. So in order to be considered jacked, you need to be able to have visible abs, but your BMI number needs to be at least like a 29. You need to be close to that overweight category. That's what's going to dictate whether or not you're jacked. So skinny ripped dudes, y'all need to sit down and shut up, go to the gym, get your BMI up. If you can maintain that overweight number, or at least close to it within 1 to 2 points, and you still have visible abs, then you can start calling yourself jacked. All right, quick camera adjustment. We're gonna move the sled. That was 520s, or excuse me, that was 510s. Now we're gonna do 520s. The other thing is if you're a skinny ripped dude and that hurt your feelings, then there's gotta be some truth in what I'm saying. So BMI, you need to be 29. You need to have visible abs. You need to be real close into that overweight category. Then you can be jacked. Outside of that, shut up. Something else I want to talk about is the criteria that you should be able to meet in order to criticize or really have some sort of opinion when it comes to commenting on shit on social media. So the other day I posted my 195 power clean, and I said that was my heaviest power clean I've ever done. And the goal is sometime this year, I want to hit 200 kilos on a power clean. And then some dude decided he wanted to chirp in and say, technically, it's not a true power clean because I was doing this power clean off of blocks. First thing I want to say is I've been training for 20 plus years, since I was 15 years old. I've been doing Olympic lifts for probably 12 to 15 of those years. I've had a lot of great coaches, Some of them are the most respected coaches in their field. And I've never once in a single program that I've done had anybody program me anything that said true power clean. It doesn't, like, that doesn't exist. Just because you're doing a variation of something doesn't mean it's not a true variation of whatever movement that you're doing. So the criteria that I've come up with for you to be able to have a valid opinion when it comes to commenting on social media is, if you've never done the thing that you want to critique, and you've never coached anybody to do the thing that you're about to critique, then you need to shut up. And I don't mean like if you've ever done a power clean. Is if I'm power clean 195 and you want to critique me and talk shit about power clean 195, you better have a 195 power clean. Or at least you better have taught somebody how to power clean 195. All right, one more camera adjustment. 10 more kilos off the sled. I'm about to do some 30s. I'm taking about 30-second rest in between each of these. Even between the 10s and the 20s, all I did was adjust the camera, take a weight off, and then load it up and get after it. So I'm gonna bust out this first 30 here real quick. All right, so back to the power clean talk. If you haven't done it and you haven't coached somebody to do it, then just admire from a distance. Keep your mouth shut. I have my comment to this guy was, "What's your power clean?" And he commented, "Well, I've never done power clean off blocks, but my true power clean max is 340. And I simply replied with, "That's cute, right? How you gonna be almost 100 pounds lighter in your max effort in a very similar lift?" Obviously it's not the same because he was doing a true power clean and I was doing a non-true power clean. And then have the audacity to try to comment on something like that. Now, whether or not you consider that hate, I don't really consider it hating on me or anything. But what I saw was there's a little bit of envy in his comment because he sees somebody doing something that he can't. So in order to make himself feel good, he's got to get a little mouthy and say something on social media. And something I know, another kind of part B to that goes specifically for like coaches. There's a lot of strength coaches who want to talk shit specifically about the power clean variations or Olympic lift variations as a whole and say how there's no valid use for them in a training program. If you don't use those movements and you haven't used those movements in a decade plus and you have no experience with that in the last 10 years, then your opinion on it doesn't matter because you're commenting on something that you don't do in order to just kind of validate what you do. So not to say that what these coaches are doing instead of Olympic lifts doesn't work. I know a lot of great coaches that do great programs and have great success and they don't do Olympic lifts. But guess what? They don't care. They don't talk about the reasons why they do or why they don't. They just go, look, what we do works and why change what works? And that what they're doing just happens to be a program that doesn't utilize Olympic lifts. So if you're a coach and you don't use the Olympic lifts, I don't see the point in why you need to open your mouth and talk shit about people that do, or try to make it seem like your method is superior because you don't, because it's all false. If you haven't done it in 10 years, your information is based off what maybe you did 10 years ago. So that's kind of the two rants that I wanted to get off my chest today. Like I said, I woke up feeling real froggy today. So I got, I think, 2 more of these 30s. I let up a little early on that one. I got one more left. I just want to say I appreciate y'all watching the videos. Make sure to like, make sure to subscribe, and I'll catch y'all on the next one.